Hey everybody, this is Pamela coming at you with a video vlog, chat, speakeasy. I hope you all are having a terrific day. As we all know, yesterday, Biden is now our 46th president, and I couldn't be more happier. I woke up from a real good night's sleep with a smile on my face for the first time in probably 4 years. It's like the stress is finally gone. Biden has certainly gotten to work on signing executive orders, doing the right thing for this country, and making sure that we move forward on good footing, even though Trump's administration had been an outright shit by not being honest with how bad the pandemic really was. But Biden's going to do the job that he has been hired to do and elected to do. And I know he'll do about as well as can be expected for an incoming president. The one thing that Biden has over Trump is over 30 plus years experience on the Capitol. And we cannot let what happened on January 6th ever happen again. But from what I hear, Trump may be facing some real shit in the coming years. So, yeah. We're talking about Dutch Bank and all that stuff too. So, yeah. I have never been so happy as I have been since last night. I watch most of the news bits on YouTube, streaming with Brian Tyler Cohen, the head person of a podcast called No Lie. I watched most of the inauguration with him, then went to PBS and watched some of the festivities on there. And by 7 o'clock, I was pretty well baked. I went to bed, slept like a lamb, and woke up with a smile on my face and the beautiful sun streaming out of my window this morning. Couldn't ask for a better day. So hopefully now we can move forward from the Trump disaster that has plagued our country for the last 4 years. And when I say the last 4 years, I felt like I aged well over 80 years. I meant every word. When I woke up, I think I may have taken 20 years off of that estimate right now. I'm starting to feel better. Maybe now we can get back in good standing with the rest of the world, huh? But there are some Trumpers saying, get ready for a civil war. Get ready for a civil war. Well, you know what? We had the inauguration yesterday. There was no civil war. And I have to thank Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, especially Kamala Harris. She is the first Black woman First Lady. So, yeah. And his whole family was there, and her family was there. Garth Brooks was there. J-Lo, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga really hit it out of the park, as well as Garth Brooks. Not so sure about J-Lo because I think her voice was kind of cracky, but that's just my opinion. But it started out snowing on Inauguration Day, and it turned out to be one of the most beautiful days in our country in 4 years. The sun broke through, and I could not have seen a much more picturesque, beautiful day than I've seen in years. And I think America is ready for this. They've had Biden on TV this morning talking with Dr. Fauci. In fact, Dr. Anthony Fauci gives an update on the vaccine effort on CNN. I'm sure you'll be able to see it in replays. Biden signed several orders on television earlier today. And we are starting the road to healing. And I hope with the new trial that's coming up for former President Trump, I hope we could get that justice well underway. And we have arrested more and more people in the insurrection on the Capitol. We have needed this transition for many years. because Trump was never stable to be running a country. One, he had no experience in politics. He actually ran as sort of a joke. Then when he finally got elected, his wife cried not for joy, but for dread. She didn't want to be in Washington. And the one thing I noticed about her side of the presidency is that she was hardly ever there. And everything that her husband stands for goes against her Be Best policies because she could never rein him in. And by the end of this presidency that has just recently left, Twitter, Facebook, and any other public forum, that is, decided to put a muzzle on his fat ass. And I'm finally glad they did, because he's like every other user that uses these types of platforms. You do something wrong, you get suspended. You keep doing something wrong, you get another suspension. And the third time you do something wrong, you get banned for good. And I'm glad that happened. But, you know, rather than be the big guy that a president should be and be a part of the inauguration ceremonies for the new one, Trump didn't go to the inauguration. He went to Mar-a-Lago because he now knows he'll be in big trouble, and he can't even get a proper legal team together to help defend him. You know, and in all honesty, people, Donald John Trump is sheer poison, and it's going to take a while to clean up the mess that he's made. It's just really, really sad that he's such a small-minded, ungrateful little pissant that he can't even go to an inauguration for a fellow person in government. Well, I look at it this way. Had he went, he would have been a big dick stain over the whole event anyway. You know, he ran just like the coward that he is. He had his little red carpet thing, but I didn't watch. I was too busy sleeping. I got up about 10:30 to get ready to watch the real inauguration of a legitimate president and a more competent president. And I'm glad I voted for Joe and Camilla, because that is the voice we need, a voice of calm, a voice of reason. And if you do something wrong, we're going to hold you accountable. And just like Mary said, you know, Trump is one of those guys that can never accept defeat. I've been hearing a lot of weird stories, and you could look this up on the internet. There was one where, this may sound funny, but I am not kidding, believe me. I have it up on my other channel, linked on a couple videos on my other channel, where Donald Trump spent his last days walking around the house in his tighty-whities and screaming like a lunatic. Then at some point, he takes his Johnson, his dick, and wipes it on the furniture. I kid you not. Let me see if I can find that again, so you can see that I'm not talking out of my behind here. Trump wiping his dick on everything in the White House. Yeah. This is from the Beaverton.com. I don't know if this is a gag or what, but I found it rather funny. Because I talked about this the other day on my channel, and I could not stop laughing for the life of me. And it sounds too good to be true, and in the world of Trump, I'm willing to believe anything that mentions the name of Trump. And it says here, Donald Trump spends final days just rubbing his dick on everything in the White House. And it says, Washington, D.C., as the days wound down, in the first and potentially only term held by Trump. The former commander-in-chief was reported to have spent his dwindling hours rubbing his penis on every possible surface in the White House. It's spite, pure and simple, and it's the only thing he's been able to come up with now that most of his strategic advisors have abandoned ship, reported an unarmed aide. It's absolute dick-wiping chaos. Witnesses have confirmed that Trump has not had pants on in days and has spent the majority of his time running the halls in a frenzy, tears streaming down his reddened face, screaming the word fraud over and over. When the president encounters a surface he believes has not yet pushed his genitals against, he immediately mounts it and mashes his balls into each and every crevice and cackles wildly. Janitorial staff have been asked to simply avoid any cleanup and just allow the now 74-year-old guy to have all the dick smears he wants until he's finally out. It gets worse. Quote, let's see here. Let me go back here because, let's see. It says here, there are streaks on all the windows and most of the upholstery is just ruined, confirmed the aide. And as for those who wonder if Mr. Trump uses bronze on parts of his body beyond the face, the stains on the Lincoln bedroom linens have solved that mystery. It's a clearly impotent display of anger. Trump appears to believe that days of cock grinding upon the White House will somehow sabotage the incoming Biden administration's efforts to undo his past policies. At last count, Trump has smudged his palace upon the entire resident desk, including inside each drawer, cutlery in the state dining room, every map in the map room. For reasons still unknown, he has chosen to tarnish the portrait of James Monroe no less than 18 times. Oh my God. And it says, though shielded from the media, the president's shots regularly spilled out onto the press gallery where mics were able to pick up samples that included, take that and see how you like your Oval Office now. That it's Touch Don Jr. Ha 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 ha. I never lose. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And it goes on to say, Secret Service agents have been instructed to simply ensure that the president does not suffer any physical harm or injuries during his multi-day schlong spree. To that end, the entire Rose Garden has been completely locked down, lest Trump's attempts to take his effort to the outside at that time and neglect the risk of thorns. So, let's see here. What else it says. I can confirm the Stormy Daniels description of Mr. Trump's equipment is mostly accurate, reported the aide. Not to be outdone, they make a mention of Rudy Giuliani in this article. And it says, not to be outdone, Rudy Giuliani also spent his final days pantsless, scooting here, bare-bottomed, across all rugs, and carpeting inside the first residence. Wouldn't surprise me. But that's all it says. And I have the article right there, so if anybody could tell me whether that is true or not, I would love to know. But it gave me a hell of a laugh the other day. Can you imagine orange-faced Don and orange-faced Rudy rubbing their shit all over the White House? It doesn't surprise me none, especially as crazy as Giuliani has been as of late. You know, cutting the farts on camera and bringing some dumb bitch into the proceedings. Come on. But yeah, now we're heading into a new era, a new beginning. Hopefully, we could reverse all the damage that Trump has done. And as to that pipeline, I don't think that is going to happen now. And speaking of China, I know they're wanting to make some sort of a contingent agreement to keep the rats out of their cargo over there. So they started banning a lot of Trump's people from going into China. Let's see here. China bans Trump's people. Let me see. Let me see here. Trump bans some of... Wait a minute. No. Come on. I know I'm tired. Give me a break. Did China ban some of Trump's people? Yeah. Okay. Now, this is what I was looking for. From one day ago. This happened yesterday, not long after Biden was inaugurated. And it says China sanctions 28 former Trump administration officials. And it says China imposed sanctions on Trump's administration officials just minutes after Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the United States, according to the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was among the 28 whom the ministry said planned, promoted, and executed series of crazy moves that have greatly interfered in China's internal affairs, undermined China's interest, and offended the Chinese people and seriously disrupted China-United States relations. China also sanctioned former President Donald Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, former National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien, and O'Brien's predecessor, John Bolton. Give me a second. So, Peter Navarro, Robert O'Brien, and John Bolton are on the sanction list. The ministry said the sanctioned individuals and their immediate family members are prohibited from entering the mainland of China, Hong Kong, and Macau. It also said that they and entities associated with them are banned from conducting business with China. So, from what I gather, they don't want any of Trump's people that have been sanctioned to do business in China. And they want to help strengthen China and U.S. relations. But it says Chinese-U.S. relations deteriorated sharply after Trump had launched the tariff wars against Beijing. So, and other allies are welcoming Biden plan to confront China collectively. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are happy that Biden is now in office. But a lot of Trump's people have been sanctioned, and it was due in due course, I think. Here's the article. I heard about it on TV this morning on my local news here, but I think it was on the Today Show early this morning. And, you know, a lot of people around the world are extremely happy about what happened. And I know I certainly am. I woke up with a smile on my face. I didn't feel run down. I felt light as a feather. And yesterday, a lot of us were talking about it's like Christmas morning. To me, it is Christmas morning because unlike Trump, I think Mike Pence... Oh, shit. That's just my web route. But, you know, Yesterday, it was like Christmas morning. We were all happy. We were all jovial. And of course, we all ignored the trolls on Facebook. Whichever trolls I could block, I blocked. But we have to get back on the right track of being what the country could be. The great American melting pot. That is what history has taught. We came over here from England to begin a new country and a new beginning. Betsy Ross made the flag. And we are all different colors, shapes, and sizes, and nationalities, and sexual orientations, disabilities, whether you're smart or down to your most basic. If you're so smart, you could be Albert Einstein, or you could be so stupid, you could be part of the Duck Dynasty crowd. But Trump didn't want that. He wanted total white supremacy. But I want to get along with my fellow brothers and sisters. I give a little bit of money to different Patreons, and it's time that we start banding together as a country. I don't care if you don't agree with Joe Biden. He's trying to make things right where Trump went wrong, especially the xenophobia shit. And after 9/11 happened, there's still a lot of people that think that this was an inside job. I don't think so. But what happened at the Capitol on January 6th certainly was an inside job. It certainly was an inside job. A fellow American trying to tear down the very foundation of democracy. It wasn't a protest. It was a lynch mob wanting to harm or possibly kill members of Congress. But again, the so-called apology that Trump offered up on any platform, should he be able to find it, was not exactly true because it came from his handlers and not from his heart. If he was really a good man that people claim him to be, he would have apologized from his heart. But then you have to remember who he was raised by. Fred Sr. People called him a psychopath or a sociopath. And like they say, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So one sociopath raises another sociopath. And the very few that got out, only one person inside that Trump camp is alive and is outside of the Trump window that we see Donald Trump in. She wrote a book called Too Much and Never Enough. It's a good hear. Get the audiobook. Take a listen. And she'll tell you all about Donald Trump's idiosyncrasies and why he's so fucked up. But it doesn't excuse him from tearing down democracy. Never will. And if you watch the Trump shit that he's put up on TV over the last 4 years, and then you watch what Biden says on TV, when Biden says he's going to go to work, he's doing his job tonight. He signed several executive orders. Now, I hope we can get back into the Paris Climate Agreement. I hope that we can repair relations with other countries, but like Biden said, Trump's team was very hostile and very angry that Biden did win the election. And to this day, I will say that he won it fair and square. And Trump just cannot stand the thought of losing. But you know what? Former President Clinton's wife, even though she lost the Electoral College, she didn't whine or complain. She's like, okay, it's done, and we'll move forward. But Trump had fed the whole QAnon community a bunch of lies, lied to them the whole time. And those in the QAnon community, most of them or some of them are trying to come to terms with what happened. And you got some that say, boy, do I feel stupid. I put a wrench in my family for this. We've been duped. We've been had. We've been suckered. That's the reality of Donald Trump. And I think he used his followers as fall guys. He used his followers as fall guys to try and overthrow the government. Oh, let them go to jail. I won't go to jail. But, Trump's life is going to be a living hell for a while. He may be down in Mar-a-Lago, but that's not his permanent residence. I think he either rents the joint or something, but I don't know. Let me see here. While I'm on here. Clear out the one about the sanctions. Does Trump own Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, I guess he does own it. It says it was purchased by Donald Trump for around $10 million. His family maintains private quarters in a separate closed-off area of the house and grounds. Built in 1924 to 1927, it's at 1100 South Ocean Boulevard in Palm Beach. Wow. Marlena house hunting. What about Mar-a-Lago? And it says here, this comes off, I think, the Times. They reported that Melania Trump has been house hunting in Florida since the start of the new year. Ooh, this was posted on Inauguration Day. As Marlena Trump faces the end of her tumultuous time as First Lady, she became the subject of a new report on Tuesday that raises question about where she and Donald Trump will eventually live. It's long been believed that Marlena Trump and the outgoing president would settle at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Marlena has been overseeing the renovations at the mansion, although in late December, CNN made the report that Trump was angry about the progress of expanding his 3,000 square foot living quarters. On Tuesday, the couple's last full day in the White House, Newsweek had reported that moving trucks were seen at Mar-a-Lago, presumably to unload their private belongings at the members-only private resort. But it appears plans may have changed. The New York Times reported that Marlena Trump has begun house hunting in Florida. After Trump's November 3rd election loss to Joe Biden, Marlena Trump was in a state of shock and joined her husband in making the false claim that he had actually won, and the New York Times reported. As the weeks wore on, it was said that the former model had become temporarily emotionally checked out, even before a mob of her husband's supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Nonetheless, Marlena launched an ongoing search for a new home, and the Times said the now former First Lady was considering Jupiter, just north of Palm Beach, where her stepson, Don Jr., and his girlfriend lived. Or they're also looking to buy a home. It begs the question, if Donald and Marlena Trump leave the elegant and historic Mar-a-Lago available to them, then why is she house hunting in a nearby suburb? Could it be, as unconfirmed reports mentioned in the Times report, that Marlena Trump has been living separately from her husband in these past years, and that she never really moved into the White House, living perhaps in the Maryland suburbs with a 14-year-old son, Barron, and her Slovenian immigrant parents? Or could it be that Marlena Trump, knowing Mar-a-Lago isn't suitable for the long term, is looking for something bigger? The total area of the White House was 55,000 square feet, while their penthouse in Trump Tower in Manhattan was 11,000 square feet. The first couple also were widely reported to have maintained separate bedrooms in the White House residence and in Trump Tower. Another issue that might have her scanning for the for sale lines is that the Trumps are legally barred from living at full-time at Mar-a-Lago. A West Palm Beach attorney, one of the area residents who opposes having the controversial couple as neighbors, sent a letter to the city of Palm Beach saying, one of the neighbors opposes having the couple as neighbors, sent a letter to the city of Palm Beach laying out the legal case for why they shouldn't be allowed to live at Mar-a-Lago, Newsweek reported. According to the letter, Trump lost his legal right to live full-time at Mar-a-Lago because of an agreement he signed in the early 90s when he was a financially strapped real estate developer and found that maintaining the historical estate as his private residence was costing him millions of dollars a year, as the Washington Post had reported. Trump decided to convert Mar-a-Lago into a private money-making club, but he signed to and agreed that said that club members are banned from spending more than 21 days a year in the club's guest suites and cannot stay there for any longer than 7 consecutive days, the Post had said. Before signing the agreement, an attorney for Trump assured the town council in a public meeting that his client would not live at Mar-a-Lago. It's unknown whether Palm City officials would try to enforce that agreement, but some residents are likely to press the issue, setting up a potentially awkward scenario unique in recent history, in which a former Oval Office occupant would find himself having to officially defend his choice of place to live during his post-presidency, the Post has said. For the past 4 years, some Palm Beach neighbors have complained about the clogged traffic and blocked streets caused by the president's frequent trips to his private club. The Washington Post reported he aggravated residents even before becoming president by refusing to comply with basic local requirements, such as adhering to height limits for a massive flagpole he installed. The Washington Post had added, if Marlena is house hunting in nearby Jupiter, she could not follow Trump Jr. and his girlfriend's lead and look to buy a home in a very secure, guarded, protected community with like-minded conservatives, as the New York Post had reported. Another advantage of Jupiter is that the location of another of the Trump family's branded golf courses, the Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter. So yeah, I think a lot of his neighbors, I know that a lot of his neighbors don't want him there. I think there's a lot of reasons why. I wouldn't want him near me either. I mean, he's an embarrassment. He is a certifiable crummy embarrassment for this country. Okay. Now that I'm moving on, but Trump may not be able to live at Mar-a-Lago. There's word that Marlena is looking for another house down there in Florida. And I heard New York City is not willing to welcome him back. I wouldn't want him in New York. I wouldn't want him anywhere. The damn scab. Let's see. Let's see what else they're saying about... let's see. Is Trump not welcome in New York? Wow. let's see. They're talking about it in the cut. They're talking about Ivanka not being welcome back in New York, and it's also in the Independent and the Guardian. And it says, let's go with this one, the Independent. Uh-oh. I don't think okay. Okay. Ivanka Trump, not wanted posters appear across New York City. Oh. Shit. Ivanka Trump should not expect a warm welcome back in New York after a string of not wanted posters appeared across Manhattan. Trump's daughter has faced fierce criticism for not preventing her father, implicating a string of controversial policies, including child separation at the U.S. border. Now, the frontier-style signs have appeared in Ms. Trump's former hometown, just weeks before her father was due to leave the White House. They are the work of Good Liars comedy duo Jason Slovic and Darium Stifler. They mock, among other things, like Miss Trump's fake posh accent. So I think a comedy duo did that. Her husband, senior White House advisor Jared Kushner, also gets the target and is referred to as a fictional supernatural character, Slender Man. Ms. Trump and Mr. Kushner are reportedly already thinking of avoiding a return to New York and have eyed relocating to their New Jersey or Florida this January. And they have pictures of these not wanted. They're called the Good Liars. Find them on Twitter. The Good Liars. Not wanted. Ivanka Trump signs are up in New York. A former friend of Ivanka's anonymously told Vanity Fair that if Miss Trump would face being shunned by Manhattan social elite if she tried to return to the city. Everyone with self-respect, a career, morals, and a respect for democracy, or who doesn't want their friends to shame them both in private and in public, will steer clear, they said. They want her to steer clear if she has any moral responsibility. Oh my God. You know, the Trump name is a stain on anybody. The Trump name is a stain on anybody. And now with Biden in office, we don't have to deal with that. So here's some stories about Ivanka and possibly not being wanted back in New York. Let's see what else they're saying here. I'm hoping they'll start the trial soon so I could start keeping an eye on that. So let's see. Another one says, the Daily Beast says, get lost Ivanka and Jared Kushner. Wow. And this was printed back in November. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's just a mess. Another one says on ABC, as New York dumps Trump, a Trump exodus to Florida is underway. As we all know, they are now in Florida. So, and it says, as New York officials make aggressive moves to cut ties with former President Trump, planning has been underway for the former president. I gotta remember that. As New York, let me try that again. I gotta remember that he's past president now. This was printed on, come on, mouse, work here. This was printed on the 14th of January. And they have an article on here, or a video on here that says Trump's financial fallout. New York City cancels contracts with former president's company. So I wonder what's going to happen with the stupid tower that they have. And and I'm sure they'll be talking about the attack on the Capitol, as I see in the moving video here. But it says, as New York officials make aggressive moves to cut ties with Trump, planning has been underway for the former president, and some of his adult children to ditch the Empire State. Trump and Marlena made no secret of their impending move to Florida on January 20th, but they won't be alone. And it says, Donald Trump Jr. and his girlfriend have been on the house hunt in the Palm Beach area and are expecting to sell their home in the Hamptons for a more welcoming neighborhood. A source familiar with the moves told ABC News. Sources familiar with those plans confirmed that Ivanka and her husband plan to relocate in the Sunshine State in the country, in the Sunshine State in the coming weeks. They recently purchased a plot of land to develop a home in the Miami area, as it was first reported by Page Six and confirmed by ABC. The planning by the Trump brood comes as New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on Wednesday that he was canceling the city's contracts with the Trump Organization, estimated to be worth about $17 million. Let's see. Eric Trump says, this is nothing more than a political discrimination, an attempt to infringe on the First Amendment, and we plan to fight vigorously. Eric Trump, the son and executive vice president of the Trump Organization, said in response to the move. Cry me a river, you little bitch. A source close to the family said they need to go dark for a bit to reassess what's next for each of them. Donald Jr. and Ivanka have been the most politically active of Trump's adult kids, and sources believe Donald Jr. will remain active within the Republican Party, fundraising for down-ballot races as he did in 2018 midterm and 2020 election cycle. Ivanka, according to a source familiar with her thinking, has not ruled anything out, but has been discussing ways to remain active in politics prior to the riots on Capitol Hill. This has complicated everything, a separate source close to the family acknowledged. Despite migrating to Florida, 2 investigations by prosecutors in the Empire State are ongoing. The state's attorney general has been investigating Trump's finances and whether his company inappropriately received tax benefits at properties in Westchester County. The Manhattan District Attorney has already won the Supreme Court battle this week, seeking the president's tax returns. He is awaiting a decision on the 2nd as he investigates the Trump Organization's financial deals. They're trying to examine everything about the Trumps, their financial deals, and some of their finances at their properties in Westchester, the Manhattan District. So they're under the microscope. Allies of the president speculate there could be more of a departure of the Trump orbit from New York, citing Trump's animosity toward the state and the city officials, and some believe it's possible that more of the company's operations could follow the family to Florida, although they say nothing less has been decided on at this point. So let's see what the comments are. If I could actually see the comments here. I don't want to join the discussion. Oh, shit. Come on. And it's one person says they are moving to Florida and dumping millions into real estate as the feds cannot touch primary residents in Florida. Typically, in cases of bankruptcy, lawyerly advice. Another one says you can still say goodbye to him at the airport. Mass mailings of invitations received few RSVPs. Just don't scare him. If he slithers into the grass before he gets to the Everglades, he may be hard to catch, though nugget traps have been deployed in the area. Another one says, "We don't want the traitors here. We will vote out anyone who promotes his huge ego trip to say he's not a loser and set and abate traitors who invited sedition. Just curious, if Trump was your father, would you follow him to Florida, or would you run far away from him as possible and start a new life for yourself?" New York may as well proclaim January 20th a state holiday. The Trump crime family will be off to sweat it out in the swamps of Florida. Definitely a cause for celebration. So I don't think he's really welcomed back there. So, yeah. I'm trying to pull up more comments here, but they're trying to make a move to Florida, but I don't think very many neighbors want those clowns around. Let's see. New York will be the losers in these actions against Trump. They didn't do their homework, not uncommon for the New York elite politicians. Eric again showing why he's the stupidest Trump in a very crowded field. Good luck and God bless Florida. You're definitely gonna need it. Democrats should give Florida to the Republicans, and that includes Democratic terrorists. Whatever that means. There goes that state. Oh, I forgot. It's Florida. Duh. Just what we need here. More stupid people. Another one says, but in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Although I've wondered how the blind people would know they have one eye. He could be lying. And one person says, I once read a great short story that opened with a quote with the one-eyed man ruling the land of the blind. A story that follows a guy with full sight is involved in a plane crash that leaves him stranded on a very isolated, mountainous region. He was in deep doo-doo. He was in deep shit until people from a heretofore unknown local population of people whom everyone is blind and nurses him back to health. Once he's feeling better, he quickly decides not to make his way back to civilization, but to instead stay with the blind people. He figures if he made it in the shade, if he stays there, after all, he can see and they can't. They need him because of his sight and of his mind. And they will have no choice but to let him benevolently rule over them and enjoy all the great perks, or all the perks that come from running a small local dictatorship. Locals start grumbling about the main character. But the main character isn't worried because, again, he can see and they can't. What could they possibly do to stop him, right? It's actually, they wait till the sunset. The locals are fully adapted to their surroundings and their blindness, so they could function in the black of night just as well as during the day. And they can hear and smell things at superhuman levels. As soon as it gets dark, they chase the guy, and since he can't see in the dark, they hear if he steps on a twig. 100 yards away, they quickly find and surround him. Then they kick his butt and hang him. It was really an enjoyable little underdog story. Well, Financially, it will work for the Donald. In the Sunshine State, they won't have to to buy that horrid artificial orange spray suntan to cover the nauseating, corpulent yards of skin folds. One more before I knock off, and you guys could go to ABC News and you could read it for yourself. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? It puts up this little box, and I can't find that damn big comment. Come on, get your damn ads out of here so I could actually look down here. Ah, here it is. This is the last one I will read. The last comment for tonight is Trump is a lumpy, fat, tripe chin, or Trump is a lumpy fat with a triple chin, turkey gobbler neck, knock knees, and a nervous panache. His natural skin color is very white, which can easily turn pink when he's excited. He has Scottish skin. If he stopped using the orange stuff on his face and neck and instead get himself into bathing trunks and actual sunlight, he'd be a bright pink all over. Very sunburned. I personally doubt he'd ever expose that very unattractive body to the strong Florida sun. Some paparazzi with, what do you call those long-range camera lenses, might catch him. Much safer to keep wearing suits and slather his face and neck with fake tanning lotion. Notice how pale his hands are compared to his brown face. And when he's excited, becomes deep pink-orange brown. Those pale hands are a dead giveaway to his true skin color. He can't artificially tan his hands and palms, or they would come out much darker. I speak with authority on fake tanning. I'm very pale-skinned and white woman for years in her youth longed for a tan. I tried every time, including baking in the sun for hours with only iodine and baby oil and the variety of fake tanning products. Long story short, 15 years ago, I had a major realization that my skin type, Celtic pale, was not meant for the sun, and that I would forever be naturally milk white and sometimes flushed. And so long as it was healthy skin, and for so long I was overall healthy, so what? And what in the end of my pursuit for a tan? But then I've never been overweight. Trump is morbidly obese. Anyone as vain as he is should really develop some self-discipline, but I digress. You know, and it really makes me sad. You know? But one person says TrumpGolfCount.com estimates the cost of Trump's 298 days of golf in over four years at $144 million to the U.S. The taxpayers. That means he spent 20% of his presidency golfing. That is 360 times his annual presidential salary of $400,000. So, yeah, they're still commenting on it. So this is not an old article that I'm reading to you. I'll share it with you. You guys could read it. But now that we're entering a new phase in this country, I think it's time that we put down the divide and start working together. Don't be like Trump. Don't be like the asshole who makes a mess, and then when he doesn't follow through with the transfer of power as he should have, he slithered off like the coward that he is. And he is going to be facing some serious problems. He's got cases in New York. He's probably got cases elsewhere around the country. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't. I can't. You know, and like Biden said, you know, he knew the coronavirus thing was bad, but today they didn't realize how bad until they got in there to look at things. So they're trying to catch up. You know, the Biden administration is trying to play catch up when the Trump administration was being so horribly difficult in the transfer of power. Trump is all about division and not about putting people together. And those that still follow him, I don't feel sorry for you because you've been duped by Donald Trump. At least Biden is working hard to keep his promises. He's putting us back in the Paris Climate Agreement, and he's going to reverse every bad thing that Trump has ever done. And after what happened at the Capitol over 2 weeks ago, on the 6th of January, that should discredit him from ever running again. There's video of him out there watching this on closed circuit television while they're having a party and playing rock music. And he lied to his followers. He says, let's march down to the Capitol. I'll be with you. March down to the Capitol and take your country back. And I'm hoping the trial will start soon. You'll see a playlist pop up on this channel and my other channel. I have another channel. It's called Sharing News and Music, where I talk about music, and I talk more about news than I do music due to the copyright constraints on here. But Trump, you have put your foot in your mouth this time. You incited a riot. You incited your base supporters to go down to the Capitol and be your fall guys for this, which left a woman dead, a Capitol officer dead, one other officer committed suicide, and one of your other followers committed suicide. So, yeah. 2 impeachments in one presidency should disqualify him from ever running again. Because his motives weren't for the USA. They were for his bottom line and for his, oh, look what I did kind of deal. But Donald Trump, we have a new leader in this country who is going to level with us. He is doing his job. He knew what was on the line. He knew what we could have lost, and we need to work on it together. And like Garth Brooks said, a lot of people are mad that I cross party lines, but I'm man enough to stand up here and, I'm man enough to stand up here and actually reach across the aisle and say, we're going to do this together. And those who won't, they're the ones that need to be voted out. And they're definitely looking into whether it's an inside job there at the Capitol. I have no doubt that it might have been an inside job. But to have fellow Americans, what I thought were fellow Americans, go and storm my Capitol. They go and storm my Capitol and tear the place up. Over what? Because they didn't agree with the election? Come on, man. And it's hard enough having to, it was hard enough having to hear Trump every week playing down the virus. That's one thing that got my goat. And it's just sad that there are people out there that still believe Trump's bullshit, and it shouldn't have to be. But a lot of them are talking about, I hope he doesn't get to live at Mar-a-Lago. If he signed that agreement that he can't live there for more than a certain amount of time, then he needs to find a more permanent residence. And I don't think very many communities are going to allow him to do that. But today began the first full day of a new era in America, and I'm glad. I'm glad. I loved the inauguration yesterday. It started out snowing, but when the clouds broke and that sun came out, I knew it was the beginning of a healing process. But like Biden said, and other people have said, We can't have healing without holding those who did that responsible. And it definitely falls on Trump and Giuliani and any others that help incite that. And they're catching more and more of these Trumpists or Proud Boys members that may have been involved in that. They're going to find and prosecute whoever they can. And the nice thing is that members of their family had turned the people in. You know? You do the crime, you do the time. If they don't get the racism at home, they get it from somewhere. You know, and I never thought I would see the day that fellow Americans would storm our Capitol and tear it all to hell. And, you know, the guy that was carrying the lectern was damn lucky that he got to go home to his family. But he's still facing some hard charges. And the other asshole that sat at one of the desks, I think it was Pelosi's desk, they didn't let him out of prison. He's only allowed to go from his cell to various trials. You know, if he has one trial or two, then, you know, he's going to have to go from prison to his trial. You know, because he took something from Nancy Pelosi's desk and he says, oh, I left her a quarter. Fucking dumbass. You know, and people who do that shit are a stain on my country. So when they say they turned that place into a fortress, by God, they did. And the inauguration went off yesterday without a hitch. And I, for one, am glad for that. So you know how it is. I mean, this has just been a rough year, and it's time to turn the calendar, turn the page, and begin a new time and get this country back on the right track. So, yeah. They're talking about the first 100 days on CNN right now. They say the COVID relief package is an early test of being a bipartisan government. And you might want to turn on CNN. They're going to start talking about the Trump impeachment trial. So, yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But if you watch the Situation Room on CNN, I've been watching that for like the last week and a half. And, you know, today I saw Biden on TV and Dr. Anthony Fauci. And Biden says it's going to get worse before it gets better. And he's absolutely true. He's asking everybody to wear a mask for the next 100 days. It's a tough thing to do, but if we want to curb this virus, then we are going to do it. And I don't want any more people to die. I could have lost my brother earlier this year. Because when I saw him at Christmas, I hadn't seen him practically since my birthday. When I saw him at Christmas, we had a good time, opened up a few gifts. And then when I had to go, I got up and I just started crying. I didn't hold it in anymore. And my brother John was comforting me, and my brother's wife came over and hugged me. You know, that's my twin brother's wife. She came over and hugged me. And my brothers are like, we didn't do anything. And I said, it's not that, you guys. I said, I'm just glad my brother's okay. You know, my brother Jerry is okay. Because he had a lot of the symptoms from making joints to a high fever. And his boss told him to go and get tested. And he tested positive for COVID early in the year. And you want to talk about being scared shitless about whether my brother was going to die? And those who think that it's fake, better get real, because I could have lost my brother. And I'm glad people like Biden are taking it serious. Because this is what it is. It's like a wartime effort. We have to step up, getting these vaccines out to people, and start fighting this deadly and virulent disease. So, when it comes time for me to get my shot, you bet I'm going to get it. And I'm supporting Biden and his administration. I will be keeping an eye on everything he does. Just because I helped elect Joe Biden doesn't mean I'm going to take my eyes off of him. Because I think we learned a valuable lesson is never let a greenhorn into the White House that treats the job like one of his businesses. And he got bummed out that he actually had to work. And he's even more bummed out that he actually lost the election. And because of that, he went crazy, was screaming at people for comparing him to Richard Nixon. And if you're being compared to Richard Nixon, you know your butt's in trouble. So if you have the time, go over and congratulate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris tonight as you get ready to go to bed. Well, gang, I gotta go. I gotta go get my mail and get ready for bed here before long. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.